Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa Walker and today I am going to be reading a book. Today's date is Monday, August 10th, 2020. And the name of this book is called Letters and Numbers. And the gentleman that wrote this book, his name is Zachary K. Hubbard. Zachary K. Hubbard. The information that he's written in this book is phenomenal, and I believe every human being should know this information. Every person on earth should know this information. This book has over 700 pages in it. You can obtain the book from Zachary K. Hubbard's YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports. And in the description of each of his videos, and he does a lot of videos, and I recommend everyone watch his videos for more information on, well, the book is very detailed, but because of Gematria, you can see everything that's going on every single day. This code can be applied every single day to anything that comes through your media, sports, movies, no matter what. All of our history is orchestrated via this code. But anyway, you can get the book at his YouTube channel for $5. The best $5 you'll spend in your life. It is an electronic format, PDF, portable file document. A portable document file. Meaning, when you order the book, you should get it via email. And once it comes to you in email, you would download the file. If you're on an iPad, iPhone, you could download it to your iBooks or to your document reader, and I believe it even works in Kindle. I think I saved a copy of it in my Kindle app on my iPad. But anyway, he also left the copyright purposefully off the book so that you can take the book to a bindery and have it bound into a book if you like. But having an electronic format of the book is awesome, because if you're searching for any piece of information in this book, you could just tap the page and the search bar comes up and you type in what you're looking for, and it gives you a list to select from that certain piece of information. And once you select it, it takes you right to that page. So having the electronic format is very useful. He's also written a second book called Number Games, and you can obtain number games, I'm assuming, on his YouTube channels, Gematria Effect News and Gematria Effect Sports, within the description of each video. You can also go to gematriaeffect.news, his blog page, because he blogs every day, and he's been blogging every day for like 7 years. But on gematriaeffect.news, the first thing you see is Number Games, and it has the information on how you can order that book. But it's going to be in a paperback format, so you pre-order it for $19.99 within the United States, and then that book will be mailed to you. So yeah, and I'm a Patreon on Zachary's channel, and so far he's released about 18 chapters of that book. I'm not sure how many chapters there are, maybe 18 or a few more. But I haven't read the entire book yet, but even that information is awesome. It is just mind-blowing, the information that are in these books. But yes, support his work, learn the work, just see how the masses are being used. We're all pawns on a big chessboard, and this information just moves the masses of people, and it shouldn't be that way, but unfortunately that is what's taking place. So also, before I start reading this book, Letters and Numbers, I want to mention a few other people that are in the truth community that is spreading the information about Gematria. And that would be Simple Truth Television. He has a YouTube channel, Simple Truth. He decodes the news and sports. And he also has a blog page called simpletruth.blogspot.com. He does great work as well. We have Chagozi Truth. Chigozie Truth. He decodes news stories. And what I like about his channel is that a lot of the work he does it live. And he decodes things in real time. So, you know, you can get really good skill set from doing that. And especially reading the book, you're going to learn how to do all of that anyway. There's another young lady that just started a YouTube channel. And her name is Kayla. And the name of her YouTube channel is Kayla Decode Talker. Well, Kayla dot Decode Talker. So that would be KAYLA dot DECODETALKER. Kayla Decode Talker. She does nice work, and I'm sure she's going to get better as she progresses. Not the last YouTuber, but there's 3 more I want to mention. Dan Barrett. Dan Barrett, he doesn't post that often, but the work that he has posted, and I'm sure will continue to post in the future, his work is awesome as well. And the name of his channel is his name, Dan Barrett. And his last name is spelled BEHRENDT. Dan Barrett. One other YouTuber is Zenith of the Alpha. He does short videos, but they're very impactful. They have a lot of information within those short videos. And then Derek. Last but not least, Derek. And I don't remember Derek's last name, but Derek, he also does YouTube videos. But his what his contribution to this community is he created a calculator. And you can go to his webpage. It's called Gematrinator.com. And on this webpage, you can type in any word or phrase, and it gives you the numerical values to what you type in. And that's what Gematria is. Gematria is letters encoded with numbers. Our letters are, in fact, numbers. So every word we speak has a numerical value. And also on this his webpage, you have other functions here. You know, you have a tools button. Under the tools button, you can you have the calculator, of course. That's where you type your words and phrases in. You have date durations, because Gematria, it is synced up with your calendar. Everything is synced up with the Gregorian calendar. Then you have number properties to let you know if there is the value that you've gotten from a word or phrase. It lets you know if it's a Fibonacci number. It lets you know if it's a triangular number. It lets you know if it's a prime number. And prime number relationships are paramount in this study. They love prime numbers with real world consequences and relationships. It's all tributes, you know. Everything they do is a tribute to something else. But yes, Derek is responsible for the calculator, and I'm so glad he made this calculator, because it makes your work much easier. All of this stuff can be done by hand. You know, you write out the alphabet, have the correct corresponding numbers under each letter for each of the different ciphers. And yeah, it can all be done by hand, but the beautiful thing is that this calculator makes it so much easier. So with that said, I want to begin reading this book, and I am going to read the first chapter of this book, and it's about 16 pages. And what I want to do, some of these chapters are long, but what I want to do is try to read as much of the book each day until I finish the book. And I want to share this with with anyone who wants to know the truth, who wants to know what is really taking place, and how such mockery is taking place and that we're not even aware of. But anyway, I'm not going to keep interjecting what I think is going on. You be the judge. You listen to the information, and hopefully you go to Zachary K. Hubbard's YouTube channels and purchase the book, because it is worth every bit you'll spend for each of the books is priceless. It's worth it. So anyway, and getting started, I'm going to start with the very first page, in letters and numbers. And it is Invitation to Reader. Those who read and finish this book will gain a new skill and set of knowledge that will empower them for the rest of their life in more ways than can now be appreciated. Without the knowledge contained in the pages ahead, there are doors of understanding about the past, present, and future that can otherwise not be attained. This knowledge is owed to every person living, adult and child. It is as simple to learn as elementary arithmetic and as deep as time. My intent as your teacher of this age-old secret is to be as clear, logical, honest, evidence-based, and intriguing as possible. My hope is you will share this knowledge with your family and friends after you finish reading. And the structure is as follows. Introduction to letters and numbers. Section A, that is the dedication for the truth seekers. After that is chapter 1. Chapter 1, why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? The God code, letters, numbers, and bones. Chapter 2, the foundational English ciphers, where geometry meets Gematria meets English. Chapter 3, what Revelation 3:18, number of the beast, reveals about mankind, history, and the Holocaust. Chapter 4, the complementary ciphers, tributes to Hebrew Gematria and Greek isopsophy. Chapter 5, numbers as language, 1 through 10, 11, 22, and sometimes 33, and sometimes 33. So you would have numbers as a language, 1 through 10, the number 11, the number 22, and sometimes 33. Chapter 6, sacred geometry is where language, letter, number, shape, and symbol meet. The letters and numbers of ancient history still with us. Chapter 7, Hermeticism, alchemy, and the 7 classical planets, especially the Sun and Saturn, the bookends of time, and this entire code is about time. Chapter 8, Kabbalah's tree of life, the Torah, Genesis, and roots of the English numerical code. Chapter 9, the Greeks, geometry, Gematria, isopsophy, and the mathematics of the Bible and New Testament. Chapter 10, who are they? Rosicrucians, Jesuits, Freemasonry, King James, Francis Bacon, and the United States. Well, the USA. Okay, now we're moving on. Letters and numbers from 1599 to the present. Chapter 11, the G-spot, Washington, D.C., Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, and the geometry of sex. Chapter 12, the Twilight Zone, the United States of America, NASA, and science. Chapter 13, trumped, rigged elections, it's called, chapter 13 is trumped, rigged elections worldwide, and the 8 U.S. presidents to die in office. Chapter 14, the Crusades, war and world war by the numbers, plus the U.S. military corporation. Chapter 15, September 11, 2001, tarot cards, skull and bones, and the military-industrial complex. 16, contrived Islamic terrorism and false flags in public places, schools, theaters, concerts, malls, etc. Chapter 17, the dead Kennedys, and an eerily familiar family pattern. Chapter 18, hate, how racial division has been programmed by mainstream media purposefully for decades. Chapter 19, weather warfare by the numbers. 1952, Lynmouth flash flooding to the present. Chapter 20, murder by numbers, the celebrity kill code. Movies, music, media, sports, and government. Chapter 21, it couldn't have been scripted any better. Man, I've heard commentators say that all my life. Chapter 21. It couldn't have been scripted any better. Undeniable evidence of rigged professional and collegiate sports. Now, the personal, universal side of the letters and numbers code. Chapter 22. The numbers of our lives, family and loved ones. Does God speak through numbers? And Z. This section is titled Z, and it's the outro of the book. So, outro is Lessons of Father CR, the problem with secrets, and the power of knowledge. Dedication for the truth seekers, children, and coincidence theorists. This book is written for every English-speaking person in the world, and I hope to God it reaches the hands of every last person who knows the language. This book is especially written for every truth seeker who sees the lies being pushed by mainstream media and Big Brother, and is looking for the solution to stop the agenda of deceit that is resulting in the loss of liberties and of our feeling safety in our own communities. Even more, this book is written for every English-speaking child who will be brought up in an education system that does not teach the single most important thing there is to know about the language itself, the numerical sequence behind it. Every child, as well as every person who reads this book, will gain knowledge that will advance their understanding of this world in more ways that can now be appreciated. For the child who does not enjoy mathematics, or reading, or writing, I imagine they will suddenly find a new heightened appreciation for each subject because of what is revealed ahead. As a caution to parents, there is some adult language in the later chapters, but don't let that be the reason your child is kept from reading what is within. For the child that does not learn what is taught ahead, they will be neglected of something they most certainly deserve to know, and the observation of certain language that is used to express sincere emotion is no reason to forego what I assure you is more important than any lesson they will ever attain in any public or private school classroom or any university course setting, even Ivy League. This book, without question, contains some of the most important knowledge ever revealed to the people of the earth that is long past due for learning. This book is also written for the coincidence theorist who has been programmed by the lying liars on the television and in the media and has learned to believe that the number of coincidences presented in the media is the way in which the world operates, which is by coincidence, which it is not. Take, for example, the story of Mason Wells, the Mormon missionary who survived the Boston Marathon bombing, the Paris attack of Friday, November the 13th, 2015, and the Brussels, Belgium bombing of March 22nd, 2016. At least if you believe the long-nosed lying media. This type of detrimental programming and mind control over the gullible masses must be broken, and that is exactly what this book will do for any coincidence theorist who reads it. If you're reading this now and identifying as one of the many living and breathing coincidence theorists, I assure you that you are being mocked, and it is not beneficial to you or anyone else other than the tyrants who are getting away with it. So please read on, and you will be converted from a coincidence theorist to a much more fulfilling and powerful position, a truth seeker, and hopefully a truth speaker. What is ahead will reward all inquiring minds. This is my guarantee. Thank you, and God bless you. Chapter 1. Why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? There is no more perfect or logical place to begin our learning of the relationship between letters and numbers than by answering the most fundamental question to the study. Why are there 26 letters in the English alphabet? As we will uncover, the answer is as deep as time, dating back to the beginning of recorded history, and as insightful as one could hope. In answering the question, we will connect the spiritual, God, human anatomy, and the stars above, plus more. As we connect the dots, much light will be shed on the age-old beliefs. The body is the temple, and we humans are the children of the stars. Please know that as your teacher of this sacred knowledge, I do not aim to push any bias or dogma. I only intend to share what is based in verifiable evidence and what inspires. In doing so, the scientific and the religious will come together, as the ancients once considered them part of the whole, or the oneness of this reality we share. For your personal reference, the 26 letters of the modern English alphabet are as follows, and he has the alphabet written from A to Z. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph. If you were to ask an English teacher why these 26 letters make up the modern English alphabet, you would likely be told it is because English is a Latin language based in the 26 related letters of the Latin alphabet after the fall of Rome. Thus, where the word alphabet comes from, the first two letters of Latin, alpha and beta. That answer, while true, neglects the significance of 26 and why it was decided as the official count for English, which in its history has varied between 20 letters and 30 letters, same as Latin. To learn the significance of the number 26 and what sets it apart, we must travel back to the cradle of civilization, to ancient Babylon. Out of this early and extremely advanced society, which gave rise to Egypt, came the world's first alphabet, and with the alphabet came mysticism still practiced today, pertaining to language known as Kabbalah. It is in this same mysticism where the significance of the number 26 resides. In Kabbalah, the central belief is God created the world with language by combining the number with the letter with the word. This is expressed in the foundational text of Kabbalah, the Sefer Yetzirah, or in English, the Book of Formation. In its opening paragraph, it states, in reference to God creating the world, He created His universe by three forms of expression: numbers, letters, and words. Excuse me. This belief about creation from the Book of Formation is in line with the beginning of the Holy Bible, which begins with Genesis, where God speaks the world into existence over the course of 6 numbered days, before resting on the 7th day and making it holy. If you have not read the story of creation from Genesis, God begins each day making a verbal command, and God said, then bringing something new into the world, from light to water to land to stars to the sun and moon to plant life to living creatures, etc., before concluding with His last creation, mankind, who is brought into existence in the 26th verse of the Bible on the 6th day, and both numbers for very specific reasons we will reveal. The book of Genesis, long before being translated into English, was first composed in Hebrew, the Shemitic alphabet, with roots also dating back to Babylon, same as Kabbalah and same as every Latin-based language, due to Latin being based in Greek and Greek being based in Hebrew, which traces its origins to the ancient Phoenicians, who became part of the Babylonian civilization and are credited with the world's first alphabet. According to Kabbalists, Hebrew was crafted in tribute to the way in which God created the world, which is why each character of the alphabet represents a letter as well as a number. Wow. Same as its predecessor, Phoenician alphabet. This is where the number 26 connects. In Kabbalah and in Hebrew, it is the number 26 that represents the four-letter name of God known as the Tetragrammaton, translated into English as YHWH from Genesis, the first book of the Torah. Below is the math for the numerical value of YHWH, pronounced Yahweh, and written in Hebrew as Yod He Vav He. If we read English the same way as Hebrew, right to left, you would have YHWH. This is how we would read YHWH. Thus, the first Hebrew letter is Yod, then He, then Vav, and the last is He again. So Yod He Vav He. That would be 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 equals 26. Yod is the 10th letter, the 10th Hebrew letter. He is the 5th letter. Vav is the 6th Hebrew letter, and He, again, as I mentioned earlier, is the 5th letter. So you add them up, that's 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5, 26. It is important to note that the first Hebrew letter of the four-letter name of God is Yod, Y-O-D. And it's a little, you can look up the Hebrew letters to see what, or the Jewish letters to see what the Yod looks like today. But anyway, I'm going to start this sentence over. It is important to note that the first Hebrew letter of the four-letter name of God is Yod, very similar to the English word God. In chapter 5, we will uncover the greater significance of Yahweh, beginning with the 10th letter of Hebrew. For now, consider it is Yahweh who provides the 10 commandments to humanity through Moses in Genesis. Also, if we dare to become a little more abstract in our thinking, the 10th letter is the first letter of Yahweh's name, something like 101 if we combine the digits 10 and 1. In English, the word Hebrew sums to 101, the 26th prime number, as does the Zohar, the most important text to Kabbalah after the Sefer Yetzirah. For another 101, 6 days also computes, the number of days it took God to create the world per Genesis. In Hebrew, the word for mathematics even equates to 101. It is this relationship with 101 and 26 that provides the reasoning for why Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon faith, spoke to the angel Moroni on September 21st, 1823, the day leaving 101 days left in the year on the Gregorian calendar. As we will learn, the name Joseph equates to 26, and so does faith. And as will become clear from here until the end cover, prime number relationships are paramount in this alphanumeric coding system, which at its heart is based in mathematics and real-world relationships with numbers, especially pertaining to time. It is also for this reason the Disney film is titled 101 Dalmatians, which of course is about dogs. And as you'll soon learn, the word dog, just the same as the word God, sums to 26. And in case you have forgotten, prime numbers are those only divisible by the number 1 and themselves. Thus, the only numbers that divide into 101 are 101 and 1. Now let us continue with the spelling of Yahweh. The letter Yod, the 10th, is then followed by the fifth letter He, then the sixth letter Vav, and completed by the fifth letter He. Not by coincidence, using the English alphabetic order, the word God also sums to 26, pairing nicely with the 26 letters of the alphabet. The math for God is as follows: G-O-D. G is the 7th letter, O is the 15th letter, D is the 4th letter. So 7 plus 15 plus 4 equals 26. Awesome. This practice of coding numbers into words and words into numbers is traditionally known as Gematria when practiced within Hebrew, and isopsophy when practiced within Greek. Not by surprise, if you write Gematria code, it too totals 101. In the Bible, where the code is based, it concludes with Revelation, where one of its most known verses, Revelation 13:18, pertains to the number of the beast and the number of a man. That number is 666. This verse is traditionally known as a Greek isopsophy riddle, where in ancient Greece a sentence would be written serving as a clue that was also paired with a number for the reader to solve. Keep in mind, the Greeks wrote the New Testament of the Bible ending with Revelation. As you will learn in chapters 3 and 4, in English, isopsophy sums to 666, same as humanity and Genesis, where man is created on the sixth day of creation in Genesis. Not unrelated, the name Batman sums to 666, and in the Batman film, where Jim Carrey stars as the Riddler, he introduces the concept of isopsophy through alphanumeric puzzles written for Batman that secretly decode the Riddler's next planned devious act. Now for your knowledge bank, before we get back onto the number 26, the Revelation 13:18 riddle is as follows, and he has chosen to use the NIV Bible. Okay, so Revelation 13:18. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. The wisdom and insight is coming, truth seeker. In the chapters ahead, we will examine the overlaps between Hebrew, Greek, and English. And next chapter, you will learn how to calculate each of the bolded words that follow, which in English all add up to 26. As we covered, God sums to 26. So does YHWH, Yahweh, in Hebrew and English. So does Adonai, another common name for God in the Old Testament, meaning my Lord. So does Babylon, the birthplace of Kabbalah and language, letters. So does Thoth, Thoth, Egyptian god of reading, writing, mathematics, thought, and more. So does Greek, practitioners of the code who wrote the New Testament. That is 260 chapters long, but you would only pay attention to the 26 as far as the numbers go. So does Zeus, the Greek god. So does Apollo, son of Zeus. So does Emmanuel, Christian name for Jesus. So does Abraham, patriarch of Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So does Joseph, spiritual figure in Abrahamic religions. So does letter, 26 letters in the English alphabet. So does spell, what we do to create words or cast magic. So does read, we read letters. So does Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible given to humanity 26 generations from creation. So does count. Kabbalists count the numerical values of letters, words, and verses of the Torah. So does add up. And so does Adam, where Adam is the name of the first man who is created in the 26th verse of the Torah. In the image of the gods. And yes, the word image also sums to 26. As we read the 26th verse of Genesis, keep in mind the author is said to be Moses, born 26 generations from Adam and responsible for the first 5 books of the Bible, which is the Torah, or commonly referred to as the 5 books of Moses. Those books are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Please pay mind the 4th book is titled Numbers, where 4 represents foundation in numerology, and to Pythagoras, the Greek great, the isopsephy enthusiast, who is said to be the father of numerology and mathematics, that he called the tetrad. Okay, I'm going to read that over again. Please pay mind the 4th book is titled Numbers, where 4 represents foundation in numerology, and to Pythagoras, the Greek great, the isopsephy enthusiast, who is said to be the father of numerology and mathematics, what he called the tetrad, representing God, not unlike the 4-letter name of God, YHWH, Yahweh. Also related, the 4th chapter of Genesis is exactly 26 verses. Now, without further ado, the 26th verse of the Holy Bible is as follows, and this would be Genesis 1:26 from the NIV Bible. Then God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Okay. Next paragraph. In light of the encoding of 26 uncovered thus far, the next question becomes, what does God have to do with 26, and what is the significance of man being created in the 26th verse? The answer to the question is in our anatomy. In other words, summing to 26, because every human being is constructed of 206 bones, and we as people are one of the rare species that stands upright, with each of our feet and ankles containing 26 bones apiece. Again, man is made in the image of the gods. So if the digits 2 and 6 are relating to man, then they are also pertaining to God, according to the Kabbalistic interpretation of the Holy Bible. Building the evidence of the significance of the number and its relationship with us as people, the words bones, carbon, and calcium each sum to 26 as well. Of course, man is made of carbon, the 6th element on the periodic table, much like mankind being made on the 6th day of creation. Even more, carbon as an element is said to have 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons, similar to how Revelation 3:18 of the Bible proclaims 666 to be the number of the beast, as well as the number of a man. When you realize 13 is the 6th prime number, and 18 factors into 6 plus 6 plus 6, that verse becomes all the more interesting. We'll learn what makes 6 special in chapter 3, called a perfect number, and what it has to do with the word man, in light of Revelation 13:18. Carbon is also considered to be the God element, existing in all living things, and our bones are rich with calcium as well as iron, the 26th element on the periodic table, a subject for later, where we uncover undeniable parallels in science, spirituality, and Kabbalah that brings much clarity to the world we are living in, and how this alphanumeric coding is impacting our understanding of it, from the Big Bang to Genesis to evolution to NASA and beyond. Continuing with the connections to our anatomy, and number 26 is the word skeleton. As mentioned, prime number relationships are crucial in this study of letters and numbers. Just as Hebrew sums to 101, the word skeleton does too, which again is the 26th prime number, corresponding perfectly with the value of 26 bones. For a little more fun with bones, the word dinosaur also sums to 101. You probably remember your early schooling days and how some of the earliest knowledge you encountered was about dinosaurs. You would likely also recall how in middle school, high school, and possibly collegiate career, introductory classes were numbered 101. Not by coincidence, the word teach has a numerical value of 26. And on this subject, so does the name Oxford, the oldest English-speaking university in the world, not too far from where the first dinosaur bone was discovered, in England as well, the land of the Queen, also summing to 26. As we will cover later, it is no coincidence the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, a dinosaur in her own right, began her reign on February 6, 1952, written 2-6 in the United States, and celebrated her coronation on June 2nd, 1953, written 2-6 in the UK. Of course, 2-6 is similar to 26, matching the numerical values of crown and royal. As will become evident, especially when we discuss murder by numbers in chapter 20, the dates of the calendar year are very much a part of this alphanumeric code that is entirely in tune with the Gregorian calendar or the common calendar. Just wait until we uncover Princess Diana's August 31st, 1997 death and the clear connection to Queen Elizabeth II. Alrighty. For another tie-in with bones, the word graveyard also sums to 101, and grave alone totals 26. Of course, graves and graveyards are full of bones, as well as being spiritual centers. In chapter 3, we will uncover something very powerful about our skeleton and how it relates to this ancient alphanumeric system, even more deeply, tracing back to an old Kundalini belief about human enlightenment, traveling up the 33 vertebrae of the spine and empowering the mind's eye, pineal gland, third eye of the brain, a word also summoned to 26. Brain equates to 26. Just the same as temple, the name of the place on the skull that is outside the temporal lobe, which is responsible for language comprehension. On the subject of the brain, the words think, focus, and logic equate to 26, as does Plato, the father of philosophy and thought. The well-remembered Greek who created the world's first university, where this same knowledge you are learning now was once shared. The test each student had to pass before joining Plato's university was having basic understanding of geometry and the stars. As we'll get to, the word Gematria means geometry within language. If you could comprehend these subjects, you were admitted. Fittingly, comprehend sums to 101 and the word test sums to 26. Amazing. Back on the subject of our human anatomy, the words hands and thumb each total 26. The physiology of our hands, having opposable thumbs, meaning our thumbs can touch each of our fingers, sets us apart from most other living species. It is this ability of our thumbs. Oh man, I'm getting a phone call. I'm going to have to decline it. Hopefully I can keep going here. And let me see. I lost my spot, my thumbs. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to start over here. Back on the subject of our human anatomy, the words hands and thumb each total 26. The physiology of our hands having opposable thumbs, meaning our thumbs can touch each of our fingers, sets us apart from most other living species. It is this ability of our thumbs that allows us to grasp things, from the pen to the hammer, which in turn gives us the ability to create, from writing to drawing to construction. And the word draw equals 26. Okay, opposable thumbs are only found in primates, including apes and monkeys. Of course, our entire body, hands and all, is covered with skin, the largest organ we have, where both words equate to 26. The ancients believed our skin's ability to regenerate after being scraped or cut was a certain sign of God within all of us. This is closely related to the generative principle, which speaks of man's ability to procreate. Throughout history, the phallus, an erect penis summing to 26, has symbolized this very concept. Another part of our anatomy that is a crucial part of language and having Gematria of 26 is our tongue, matching the 26 values of spoken, oral, sound, and noise. Consider that for tens of thousands of years, language existed only orally, prior to the first known alphabet being recorded by the Phoenicians. Even more interesting, Kabbalah was taught for centuries only orally, as a means of keeping secrets, another 26. Kabbalah was not meant for the unfaithful, and therefore was protected. Speaking of which, faith, karma, hope, and atone each equate to 26, as do heaven and hell. As will become understood, there is much duality in this language, as there is in all other things of this world. Regarding secrets and duality, there is a secret society, a brotherhood, who are very much students of this dualistic nature of this world, that certainly has had a major role in the crafting of the English language as we know it, and no doubt the English translations of the Bibles as we know them too. Before unmasking this society, which subscribes to the motto, as above, so below, and the body is the temple, let us quickly read from 1 Corinthians, where the body is said to be the temple. 1 Corinthians 6:19, NIV version. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. In light of the verse being 6:19, the word body sums to 19, mankind made on the 6th day of creation. After reading the verse, please recall, God made the body of mankind in the 26th verse of the Bible, which is the temple, 26, where if you add up the bones of a person, there are 206 in count. The fraternal organization, the secret society where the qualifying belief for membership is that you believe in God, pays great tribute to this concept in the naming of their meeting place. They are Freemasonry, and their meeting place is referred to as a Masonic temple, summing to 206, same as the number of bones in the body. Members of these temples are commonly called Masons. They are scholars of the Bible, especially the Torah, and the majority of their lore is based in Kabbalah, as admitted by notable members and authors of the fraternity, such as Albert Pike, Manly P. Hall, both of the 33rd degree, a top honor in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Fittingly, the word Mason alone has a value of 26, connecting with God, Torah, temple, faith, and bones. As we will uncover, this network is using a powerful tool, the lie, another three-letter word summing to 26, to play God over the masses. Please know that when I say this network, I am speaking of its upper echelons. Excuse me. Not the common members of local lodges, who are mostly good people looking for brotherhood and further understanding of this special world we share, and who are mostly ignorant of the fraternity's transgressions. Also related, the word nose, another part of our anatomy, adds up to 26 and ties in with the age-old belief about liars and long noses. Hello, Pinocchio. Of the many Masonic fraternities in the world, one of the most well known is Skull and Bones, the elite society at Yale in New Haven, Connecticut. This society is paid tribute to in the 33rd episode of the original Batman TV show, where it is stated that Bruce Wayne's, Batman's, great-grandfather founded Skull and Bones. In the secret society's existence, it has put at least two men in the White House, George H.W. Bush and his son George W. Bush, who, the latter of which was the president in office for the tragic September 11, 2001 date, a date surrounded by monumental and catastrophic lies. In the chapter on September 11th, we'll discuss the significance of the destruction of the two towers in light of the history of the destruction of the two temples of Jerusalem, Solomon's and Herod's, and the crusades that came later in history. The word crusade sums to 26, and it is no mistake that the United States invaded Afghanistan exactly 26 days after September 11th, on October 7, 2001. In history, what was lost with the destruction of Solomon's temple, the structure of all Masonic temples are built in tribute to today, and Herod's temple after that was the biblical Holy Land, to the Babylonians first, then the Romans, summing to 26. Second, Romans is also the 6th book of the New Testament. That again is 260 total chapters. The followers of the Holy Bible did not reclaim this lost land until after the Crusades. When it was taken back, it was on behalf of the papacy, 26, the office of the Pope of the Catholic Church. Yes, papacy, yet another 26. In chapter 4, you will learn how Catholic sums to 351. What is the 26th triangular number? Meaning if you sum the numbers 1 through 26 together, they total 351. In the chapters ahead, you will also learn how Catholic Bible sums to 101. Again, the 26th prime, and why it is 73 chapters instead of the typical 66 found in the King James Version and New International Version Bibles. Also pertinent, Antioch of modern-day Syria was the first city to fall to the Crusaders. In the Holy Bible, it is Acts 11:26 that mentions Antioch. Emphasis on the 26th verse of the 11th chapter, where the first Christian church is established, connecting 26. The word church sums to 101. Same with the word Christian. There's more to the story that we'll get to in time, but as you can begin to see, by knowing the code, you can gain appreciation for how history repeats itself, such as invading Afghanistan 26 days later and the war being waged by a Christian president who had very divisive rhetoric about Islam. Crusades were Christians fighting Muslims. For your historical reference, the Crusades are connected to the Knights Templar, who became the protectors of Christians traveling to the newly reclaimed Jerusalem at the conclusion of the Holy Wars. Today, the Knights Templars are a Masonic fraternity with a stipulation that not only must you believe in God, you must be a Christian. Fittingly, Knights Templar and Christianity are matching names in Gematria, as we will uncover. Bringing us back to 26, the word Templar means temple, and the name Knights Templar truly stands for poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. After the Crusades, the Knights Templar took Temple Mount to be their headquarters, the same place Solomon's Temple and Herod's Temple once stood. Fittingly, just as Temple sums to 26, so does the surname of the man who is credited with establishing the Knights Templar. He was Hugues de Payens, a French knight and nobleman. If you would take the full Gematria of his name, Hugues de Payens, it totals 62. The reflection of 26 will save 62 closely related to the number 26 for later chapters. But Payens, Payens, it equals 26 by itself. Okay, after the conquering of Jerusalem for the Catholic Church, it was the Knights Templar who gained access to the wisdom of Kabbalah and brought the knowledge to the church in Europe. From there, it spread to nobility in the surrounding regions, when and where the Cabal, a term derived from Kabbalah, began. The definition of Cabal is a secret political clique or faction. Again, Kabbalah is knowledge intended to be kept secret from the start, and historically has been exclusive to those who are commonly referred to as elites, such as pharaohs, kings, queens, popes, and in more recent times, prime ministers, presidents. In Donald Trump's book, The Way to the Top, on page 188, it says his Kabbalah teacher, Eaton Yardini, gave him some of the most memorable wisdom he has ever received. As you know, Donald Trump is Captain Twitter, and would you believe that tweet also sums to 26? Ahead, when we uncover Trump's run for president, where he announced from his 58th story Trump Tower that he was running for the 58th presidential election, the influence of Kabbalah will become overwhelming. Even further, when we get to the part about the hiring of 58-year-old Steve Ray, who led the ceremonies for the 58th U.S. presidential inauguration, it will become undeniable. The number 58 is very significant and very much related to the number 26, as we will learn next chapter. Fittingly, the common acronym for President of the United States is POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, and it sums to 26 as well. It makes sense because Washington, D.C., an independent city-state like Vatican City and London's financial district, is named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. Again, Mason sums to 26. If you look at the architecture of the city, it should come as no surprise that the numbers are of great significance. The Washington Monument is 555 feet tall, and it sits across from the Pentagon with its five-sided 5 floors and with a 5-acre court in the middle. 555. The Pentagon is also 77 feet tall and resides on the 77th meridian. On September 11, it was reported Flight 77 struck the Pentagon precisely 77 minutes after taking off, per the 9/11 Commission report. In chapters on DC and 9/11, we'll learn the answers why. For now, you can know the word monument sums to 101 and is built in honor of the first recognized POTUS. President of the United States. Many historians claim it is truly a giant phallus, but I'll let you be the final judge of that. If you ask me, it's a bit pointy. Back on the subject at hand, relating to the word temple, again, is the word church, which totals 101, the 26th prime, first Christian church established in Acts 11:26. This corresponds with things that are commonplace in the church, such as God, a pastor, a baptism, and faith, all having Gematria of 26. Not by chance, in Hebrew, where the roots of English rest, Christianity equates to 26, as well as pairing nicely with the length of the New Testament, which is 260 chapters, as mentioned in chapter 4. As mentioned in chapter 4, you will learn how religion equals 260 in English extended Gematria. One more time, the New Testament was first composed in Greek, also summoned to 26, not too far off from Hebrew, summoned to 101, which the Old Testament what the Old Testament was written in, Hebrew. As will become understood, the United States of America is a biblical nation, following a biblical narrative from its inception. Clear evidence of this fact is in the name of the early capital. Before Washington, D.C. was constructed, Philadelphia. What is the name of a church? The Church of Philadelphia from Revelation, the concluding book of the Bible. Fittingly, the name Philadelphia sums to 101 as well. In chapter 3, you'll learn more about Philadelphia, seeing just how layered the coding of a single name word can be. It is this same city, Philadelphia, where the U.S. flag was sewn, another word equating to 26, which corresponds with Philadelphia's Gematria of 101. Think of flag worship in light of its numerical value equating to God. Also relating, the word anthem equals 101, as in national anthem. My goodness. Now, having connected the body and the temple in the letters and numbers, as well as things of this world, what is below, we will add the other related component, what is above. Historically, spiritual structures were built in alignment with the stars, commonly referred to as the heavens, where gods reside. This evidence is found in religious architecture of the ancients all throughout the world, where structural attributes were clearly built to align with astrological phenomenon, from the rising and setting sun to equinoxes to solstices and other significant planetary alignments. The Greeks, as well as the Aztecs of the Americas, were said to be the masters of the Zodiac, understanding its lengthy cycles and gaining the ability to predict astrological phenomenon long before it transpired. Not by surprise, the Gematria of Aztec is 26, same as Greek, adding more real-world significance to the number. The Aztecs are known for keeping two calendars, one that is very similar to the modern Gregorian calendar, where one year is 365 days, and a second calendar that is exactly 260 days long, divided into 20 sections, each lasting 13 days apiece. 26 is divisible by 13. The 260-day calendar, called the Tonal-Phohalli, is spelled Tonalphualli, so you can look that up and pronounce it better than I just did. But it's called the Tonal-Phohalli, was meant to please their gods and prevent them from bringing destruction on the earth. In the next chapter, you'll learn how sun god sums to 26, the same as God, Zeus, and Apollo, where Apollo was the Greek god of the sun. In the fourth chapter, you'll also learn how God sums to 52, which is 26 plus 26 equals 52. In terms of God, the heavens and the calendar in terms of God, the heavens and the calendar, consider that each year has 52 weeks. In the case of the Aztec calendars, every 52 years, the 365-day calendar and the 260-day calendar would align. That's because if you multiply 52 by 365, the product is 18,980. In those 18,980 days, the 260-day calendar completes 73 cycles, 73 being a number you will learn to represent perfect number and more. Ultimately, the belief of many is God is perfect, and in this world there is nothing more perfect or exact than numbers and mathematics. What are always true? Another word totaling 26. The word true. Just the same as the word axiom. AXIOM. It is for this reason numbers have been used to best symbolize God across the world throughout the course of time, and in the same belief that underlies Kabbalah. And yes, best tallies the number 26 as well. Wow. The greater connection to 26 with the Zodiac is how long it takes to go through the entire cycle of the 12 ages. It is widely agreed that the 12 ages of the Zodiac are 2,160 years in length. When you multiply 2,160 by 12 for the 12 signs of the Zodiac or the 12 ages, you arrive at 25,920 years, nearly 26,000 years. Fittingly, the word space sums to 26, same as cosmic, sky, zenith, air, cloud, and heaven, connecting with bones, and the belief that we are the children of the stars, or as a science teacher might put it, we are made of stardust, and the word dust equals 26. On the subject of time, what is measured by the stars above and constrains us all, the word chrono, meaning relating to time, also totals 26. Historically, the Zodiac has been presented as a wheel, summing to 26, same as watch and clock, things I am sure you've heard of before. Related, the Greek word for circle, kuklos, Kuklos, sums to 26. Fitting right in, the two words full circle equate to 101. At this moment, in the slowly circling Zodiac wheel, we are living in the age of Pisces, a measurement of the stars which also equates to 26. Pisces equates to 26. Of the 12 astrological signs, 2 sum to 26. The other is Cancer, the fourth sign of the astrological calendar, where the order is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Consider the sign of Cancer comes in summer, the only season totaling 26, and the season where the energy of the sun, thought by many ancients and people living now to be God, is felt more so than any other. It is also agreed by most Bible historians Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was born in the summer months, Probably not by coincidence, the phrase Son of God, S-U-N of God, Psalms 2:101. Please consider how English has us use the two variations of the word son, S-O-N, and son, S-U-N. As for those who follow the teachings of the Bible and Jesus Christ, where the code originates on Christian car bumpers, doors, and mailboxes, you'll commonly see the tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God, YHWH, Yahweh, inside the Pisces symbol. What is the fish? The next time you see a Christian sharing this symbolism, please make sure to share the knowledge of what the fish truly represents, as many Christians think it only pertains to the miracles Jesus worked with fish, including the miraculous catch of 153 fish. A fun number for later discussion that also pays tribute to God and the name Holy Bible. For any Christian who believes knowledge is power, it will be a welcomed and appreciated gesture and possibly life-changing. For any who might shun you, the truth does not guide them. And the word guide, 26. Before transitioning off the topic of the Zodiac, something strange about Western astrology worth recognizing is even though we're living in the age of Pisces and nearly to the age of Aquarius, we still base the astrological calendar in the times of Aries, which dates back to Babylon, where the concept of the zodiac originates. It is simple things such as this, hidden in plain sight, that are intended to pay tribute to the masters who contrived the beliefs that still guide us today, subtly and secretly. Again, Babylon is the home of Kabbalah, having the belief that God created the world with language by merging the letter with the number, as well as the motto, as above, so below. A belief and a motto that should have more meaning to you now than just moments ago, when you began the chapter. And to make certain you know how an astrological age is measured, it is by the constellation the sun appears in at the vernal equinox, typically occurring March 21st of the Gregorian calendar year, from approximately 1 CE until 2160 CE. The sun will appear in the constellation Pisces, and then after transitioning to Aquarius. Prior to Pisces, the vernal equinox would take place in Aries, which dates back to approximately 2160 BCE, and prior to that, Taurus, dating back to 4320 BCE. So, from approximately 1 CE, that would be the Christ era, CE, Christ era, BCE, before Christ era. Okay? Now, let's transition from the zodiac back to those who have had the greatest impact on our understanding of the closely related final frontier, space. As we'll cover in depth in chapter 12, members of the secret Masonic Brotherhood have forged NASA's entire history in space by the exact code we're just now becoming accustomed to. Think about the Apollo missions and the moon landing in the time of Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon and is symbolized by the number 69, like the year of the landing on the moon, 1969. Liars. These NASA astronauts are the same Masons who pride themselves on being the keepers of world knowledge, including Kabbalah and that of the stars. According to Manly P. Hall, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, he writes in his book, The Secret Destiny of America, that the United States of America was created by a network of Masons and other related secret societies as something referred to as the Order of the Quest, where Quest totals 26, just the same as Mason. According to Hall, the Secret Alliance has one essential mission: to deliver a one-world government based in democracy and philosophy, which was also a dream and aspiration of the Greeks, first credited to Plato. Hall states further, the Order of the Quest is responsible for the symbolism of the U.S. seal, which is most commonly mistaken for being an eagle, but is truly a phoenix, equaling none other than 26. If you're not familiar with the ancient and mythical bird, it dates back to at least the Egyptians, and it is known as a symbol of power, to exist for hundreds of years before bursting into flame, and then a pile of ash, only to return reborn and renewed. In addition to the words phoenix, flame, and ash, each summing to 26, so do the words burn and blaze. In Masonic lore, the phoenix represents the spirit of the sun god and ultimately the purpose of Masonry, which is the pursuit of light that the sun provides. Wow. Speaking of Masonic symbolism, the US dollar bill is loaded. In the chapters on Masonry ahead, we'll disclose the very Masonic symbolism cleverly encoded in the U.S. currency, in pictures and in words. For now, please know that the words bank, dollar, each sum to 26. As I mentioned earlier, the Masons are playing God over the masses with the lie. They're also doing it with the dollar. Think about "in God we trust" on U.S. currency, seemingly out of place until you learn the clever numerical code behind the letters. Just the same as true, trust also equates to 26. Fitting in with the word dollar, invest, and the acronym IRS each equate to 26 as well. So does legal. I don't know about you, but whenever I think about the IRS and taxes, I think about the Boston Tea Party, where both the words tea and party equate to 26 too. Not far off from Boston, Massachusetts. It sums to 260. In chapter 16, you'll learn why the Boston Marathon bombing came on April 15th, leaving 260 days left in the year, as well as why 26 people were reported dead at the Sandy Hook school shooting on December 14, 2012. Matching the code, the Boston Tea Party transpired on a date having a numerical connection to the number 101, again the 26th prime. That date was December 16, 1773. In the next chapter, we'll learn the 6 different mathematical paths for finding the numerology of a date. For an early start on the matter, December 16, 1773. You would add, okay, December is the 12th month, so that would be 12 plus the date, 16, plus the year, 73. That gives you 101. Let's see what page I'm on. 13. 3 more pages to go, so might as well finish this chapter here. If you're familiar with the historical event, you likely recall it was the Sons of Liberty, summing to 62, the reflection of 26, who were responsible for throwing the tea into the Boston harbor. It was led by Samuel Adams, where Samuel totals 26 for their assault on the East India Company's shipment of tea. They dressed in tribal costumes, mimicking the appearance of the local native population. Words also summing to 26. Tribal and native sum to 26. As will become understood, many details of history's past are Gematria perfect, if you will, meaning the details reported in history books are made to numerically correspond with the remembered event, such as native tea and the date all syncing. This encoding is a component in how history repeats itself. Speaking of which, on the subject of money related matters in history, Black Thursday sums to 206, the date that began the financial collapse known as the Great Depression, where the dollar lost the majority of its value in a matter of days. That was October 24th, 1929. Black Thursday is also used in the history books to reference the terrible bushfires of Victoria, Australia, which began February 6th. February 6th, 1851. The date 26, much the same as the number 26, corresponds well with burn, blaze, torch, and flame. As we'll uncover, many fires have been purposefully set in history, and I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the Black Thursday fire of February 6, 1851 was one of those incidents. The Great Chicago Fire certainly was. On a related note, in chapter 19, you'll learn about weather warfare by the numbers, which is far out as it might seem. It's sadly a real thing that has been tormenting people of the world since at least 1952, and likely much longer. In more recent history, Houston, Texas was devastated with flooding for very purposeful reasons by the code just hours after boxing star Floyd Money Mayweather, emphasis on weather, set a new record for his sport, earning a record of 50 unprecedented over an opponent whose name in Gematria summed to 50, McGregor, just the same as the word undefeated. Prior to the fight, the match was set on June 14th, what is the flag's birthday, as well as the POTUS at the time, Donald Trump, born June 14, 1946. If you saw the fight, you might recall the color commentator making remarks such as, I predict Floyd takes him into the latter rounds. I predict Floyd takes him into the later rounds, into the deep water, and drowns him. Sadly, those remarks were not coincidental, but part of a planned agenda we're living out, that the devious Masons in high places are very much aware of and responsible for. When Floyd came into the fight, he was 49-0, with 26 career knockouts. The 26 KOs were perfect because in Gematria, Floyd, boxer, hit, punch, and KO each sum to 26, matching the fight being on the 26th day of August. As we'll cover later, in Hebrew, flood sums to 26, as well as a word that not too far off from the name Floyd. Think about how the biblical flood from the Torah is created by God. And again, the Masons are playing God, as will become evident. For more mockery from this same gang, it was the rains from Tropical Storm Harvey that did Houston in. And after the devastation, when the first professional baseball game was played in Houston, the first visiting pitcher was Matt Harvey. of the New York Mets from the city that was flooded by Hurricane Sandy years earlier, also by the code. There's a lot more to the story, such as Texas being flooded on the 27-year anniversary of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who is best remembered for the album Texas Flood. We'll get into it all and more. When we uncover the full picture, it will become undeniable what is truly taking place in the world, and which must be stopped, which is the reason I have written this book. Thank you, Zachary K. Hubbard. Which is the reason I have written this book, to bring awareness to the wrongdoing, as well as spreading this very important and life-changing knowledge. With enough people awake to the orchestrated madness, we will end it. From the scripted sports to the ritualistic murders to anything but natural weather disasters. Absolutely. Okay. And since I just brought up baseball, and since I just brought up baseball, you should know that sports, game, park, and ball game each equate to 26. So does the name Yankees, the most successful team in baseball history, who once had the legendary star Babe Ruth. Babe 26, a nickname also summing to 26 and corresponding perfectly with his birthday, February 6, 1895, 26. All right. At the same time, the words athlete, sports, and action each equate to 26. For many people, athletes are seen as personal heroes, where hero also totals 26, just the same as card. Think about sports card collectors. You could even say these sports celebrities are treated as living gods. When I was a child, the most celebrated man on the planet was probably Michael Jordan. After him, it was probably Kobe Bryant, who had a remarkably similar career to MJ, both of which were entirely scripted by the code, as all of professional sports are, and who both share last names summing to the magic number. Not unrelated, in the world of American football, the shape of the football is that of the Pisces, which is also that of the mandorla. The game takes after rugby, summing to 26 too. The common denominator between baseball, basketball, and American football is that they were all created by Freemasonry, a network that has had tremendous influence on the world we share. As we wind down, I hope this knowledge has impacted your mind's eye with the strength of a freight train. And yes, train sums to 26, just the same as track and Union, as in Union Pacific Railroad, which has its headquarters in Nebraska, also summing to 26 very appropriately. If you know the history of the railroads, they were largely built by Asian immigrants. And isn't it interesting that the word rice sums to 26, just the same as Asians? Not too far off, eat also totals 26. I once taught public school in South Seattle, and half of my students were of Asian ancestry. I'll never forget the year when I asked them to write an essay about the things they were grateful for in this world, and every single Asian student wrote, among other things, that they were grateful for rice. Rightfully so, I say, because rice is magnificent. As for Asia and the Far East, consider it is the birthplace for much of the knowledge being revealed in this first chapter. Much Masonic lore traces to this historic continent. Wow. From Asia to the Americas, the code is prevalent. I have thrown a lot at you in this chapter, establishing this very point. but you're only just getting started. Not unlike Francis Bacon's unfinished work, New Atlantis from 1626, which has his fictional novel about his aspirations for the colonization of the Americas, what was to be a utopia prior to the existence of the United States. In the text, he writes about the fictional land Ben Salem. Okay, I need to read that over. I was getting a phone call, so now I kind of just bear with me here. I'm going to read this one part over. From Asia to the Americas, the code is prevalent. I have thrown a lot at you in this chapter establishing this very point, but you're only just getting started. Not unlike Francis Bacon's unfinished work, New Atlantis from 1626, which was his fictional novel about his aspirations for the colonization of the Americas, what was to be a utopia prior to the existence of the United States. In the text, he writes about the fictional Ben Salem, summing to 26, and the university that enlightens the people of the land, named Salomon's House, where the name Salomon also adds to 26. We'll learn about Francis Bacon later, one of the chief authors of the King James Bible, and perhaps the man who has had the most influence on the modern English language as we know it. Of course, Bacon was a Mason, as the majority of the names remembered in history books have been. He was also a practitioner of Gematria, very secretive about this knowledge. It's unfortunate to think, however, that this idea of utopia, a crown jewel and crystal, equals 26, of wisdom of the Americas has gone extremely south. Instead of a nation of enlightenment, knowledge, democracy, and peace, we have become a land of willful ignorance, tyranny, deception, hatred, greed, and war, with a rapidly expanding police state. On the subject of the police state, RFID, the tracking chip, has Gematria of 26. Going back in time, think about our roots, beginning with the genocide of the native population by purposefully spreading plague, also equating to 26, same as virus, tying in kill sums to 26. And if you really think about it, what is more godlike than killing? In the Old Testament, God kills with floods, famine, fire from the sky, plague, war, and more. At the same time, God is love and compassion, and the word mercy also shares Gematria of 26. Again, reminding us of duality, a concept that is inescapable in this world. As we'll cover in the chapter on U.S. presidential assassinations, there is a familiar pattern of murder by numbers, not by chance. The word assassin has a Gematria of 101, corresponding with the 26 Gematria of kill. That same pattern goes beyond presidents as well, which we will cover elsewhere, especially in the chapter titled Murder by Numbers. Consider the November 5th, 2017 Sutherland Springs, Texas church massacre of 26 killed by a 26-year-old shooter on a date with a life lesson number of 26 in a church that was established in 1926. For another example, on October 1st, 2017, or 101, as it is written in the United States, 10/1, as it is written in the United States, an assassin reportedly rained bullets on concert goers while stationed in his hotel room at the Mandalay Bay Casino, equating to 101 in Las Vegas, Nevada. For the record, the word casino alone sums to 101, and don't forget dollar sums to 26, same as bank. Adding insult to injury, the musician performing when the massacre transpired was Jason Aldean, where J is the 10th letter and A is the first, thus 10 and 1 or 101 when combined. This entire spectacle was a massive ritual coinciding with Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday of atonement for our sins, and of course Las Vegas, where it took place, is known as Sin City. Plus, Sin City equates to the same numerical value as Yom Kippur. In this event, it was reported that the shooting lasted 9 to 11 minutes. Oh man. And ended at 10:19 p.m. local time. Man, the digits should remind you of September 11, and as I mentioned earlier, 9/11. 9/11 paid great tribute to the Jewish Day of Remembrance of the destruction of the two temples known as Tisha B'Av. In Chapter 4, you will learn how tightly the Gematria of Tisha B'Av pairs with the date September 11, as do the words Orthodox and Star of David. While I do not want to put blame on the Jewish people of the world, it is important to understand that what is taking place in the world is a Zionist conspiracy waged by those who operate from high places, including world banking, world media, world government, and multinational corporations, as well as those who have influence over the entertainment mediums of this world, including music, movies, and sports. Later, we will address some of the scriptures of the Talmud, a text important to rabbinic Judaism, having origins dating back to Babylon, the same as Kabbalah. In the Talmud, it says, the Jews are God's chosen people, and non-Jews, known as Goyim, are Gentiles, or Gentiles are a lesser race. Let me reread that. In the Talmud, it says that the Jews, which they ain't, says that the Jews are God's chosen people, and non-Jews, known as Goyim or Gentiles, are a lesser race serving the purpose of a slave class of the superior Jewish race. And yes, chosen Psalms 2:26. Using us Goyim, according to the Talmud, have a purpose to work and labor so that the Jews do not have to. They are also to benefit from our labor, and they are to live on a tier that is not deserved by the rest of us. The Talmud is very specific in what it says, including giving Jews the right to lie to Gentiles as long as it is in a legal setting. Since we live in a world of laws, this setting is technically everywhere. Also in the Talmud, it states that if the Goyim ever discover what is written within, they will likely kill because of it. Absolutely. Man, this stuff is just ridiculous what has taken place. That remains to be seen. The text also has a major focus on sodomy, Psalm 2:26, same as anus and anal. Later we'll cover what it takes for a Gentile to make it in the nearly entirely Zionist-owned and operated world of entertainment. It isn't pretty. Wow. Before moving on, I want to preview a portion of what you will discover next chapter, which are the four base methods for calculating the value of a word. I want to do this now because it will be adding meaning to what you have gathered already from chapter 1. The two of those four methods are highly intuitive, and so are the other two, as you'll soon discover. The first is using the alphabetic order, as we did earlier in the chapter with the word God, Psalm 2:26. God equals 7 plus 15 plus 4 equals 26. The second is using the alphabetic order, but incorporating the rules of numerology. If you calculate the word God using the second method, it will sum to 17 because G is 7, O is 15, but becomes 1 plus 5 is 6, D is 4. Thus, God sums to 17 because 7 plus 6 plus 4 is 17. Keep in mind the name El, another name for the God of the Old Testament, sums to 17 as well, using the alphabetic order. El equals 5 plus 12, which equals 17. And if you want to do a bit of independent research, you can discover how El is truly the planet Saturn, the sixth from the sun, known as the Father of Heaven. Whew. As we advance through the chapters ahead, it will become abundantly clear how important Saturn is to this entire code. And in chapter 4, you'll expand on the base ciphers, learning the septenary cipher, where Saturn equates to 26 using this special method. Alright, I'm almost done here. So now with the two base methods introduced, we will decode the names Torah and Elohim using the alphabetic order, where Elohim is the name used for God. For God is Genesis 101. No, I'm sorry. Now, with the two base methods introduced, we will decode the names Torah and Elohim using the alphabetic order, where Elohim is the name used for God. Where Elohim is the name used for God in Genesis 1:1. Okay. We will also decode the name Garden of Eden using the alphabetic order, but incorporating the new rules of numerology. What you'll notice is Torah, Elohim, and Garden of Eden each equate to 26. Each equate to 62. The reflection of 26, the number this chapter was dedicated to. As you will become to understand reflections of each other, numbers such as 26 and 62 are considered equals in this study. Consider that in Hebrew, letters and numbers are read from right to left. So the number that is seen as 62 in English is seen as 26 in Hebrew. Even more fascinating, in the New International Version of the Bible, the word garden is used exactly 62 times, and certainly not by coincidence. Alrighty. So at the bottom of this page, he has Torah, Elohim, and Garden of Eden with their numerical values in the different orders that they come in. But I'm going to read the last paragraph. It says, to close out this chapter and for some historical perspective, I give you the oldest known English alphabet tracing back to 1011 CE, which was composed by the monk Byrhtf. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the monk's name correctly, but it is spelled Byrhtf. Byrhtf, I'm not sure. It's funny, but he was a monk, and he was of Ramsey Abbey. And if you notice, it is missing the J, U, and the W, and includes ampersand and 5 glyphs. So if you purchase the book, you'll be able to see on page 16 exactly what I'm trying to describe, which I can't, but you have all the alphabet that we know of except the J, U, and W, and this is from 1011, and then they have a few glyphs at the end. So I hope you've enjoyed the reading. Take care. Remember to purchase Letters and Numbers from Zachary K. Hubbard at Gematria Effect News, Gematria Effect Sports, and you can also get his book Number Games on his webpage and probably at his YouTube channels as well. But I know for sure you can go to GematriaEffect.news and purchase his newest book, Number Games. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the reading. Bye.